First night without power. Most people won't survive this mistake. Lock in.
The grid doesn't kill you. You do. In the first 90 minutes, right after the lights go out, you make a decision. And that decision decides everything. You survive, or you become a danger to others. The real threat isn't outside. Not looters, not chaos. It's your reaction. Panic, disguised
Oh, you're welcome, brother.
as action. And on night one, there's one mistake that tells everyone you're not going to make it. Here's what actually gets people killed. Not the darkness, the light. Within the first hour of a real grid collapse, unprepared households light up like beacons. Candles in every window, a generator roaring to life in the backyard, flashlight beams cutting across the ceiling, visible from the street. And somewhere inside, a family having a loud, urgent argument about whether this is serious yet. That combination, visibility, noise.
I think it just depends on what the reasoning for the power outage is as to whether or not this would be considered a mistake. Because, I mean, there's multiple, like, different reasons why there would be a power outage. Now, if they, like, talk about, like, zombies, yeah, we probably shouldn't just have, like, glowing candles in every goddamn window, talking loud as hell, just sitting there just fucking living it up and partying, bro. But if it's just like, I don't know, like something that you wouldn't necessarily assume in the beginning was, like, catastrophic. Like, maybe, like, you just, like, your power just goes out randomly, and there's no, like, reasoning for it. I don't think that, it would be considered a mistake. So, like, I don't know. I just think about it in that kind of way, I guess.
And panic doesn't just make you uncomfortable, it makes you a target. It broadcasts a signal to everyone within earshot. These people weren't ready, and they're scared. The failure isn't gear. That's what most people get wrong. You can have a fully stocked bug-out bag, a garage full of supplies, and a generator with a full tank, and still be the most vulnerable house on your block inside of 60 minutes. Because the gear doesn't matter if your behavior announces your position before the second night even begins. People treat night one like a camping trip that lost power. They troubleshoot, they comfort each other, they wait for the lights to come back on. That cognitive gap between inconvenience and collapse is where the danger lives. A grid collapse doesn't care about your comfort level. It only responds to your decisions. And the first decision almost nobody makes correctly is the one about staying quiet and staying dark. What you do in that window sets the tone for everything that follows. What separates the people who make it through night one from the people who don't isn't luck. It isn't gear. It's 4 laws. Not tips, not suggestions, laws. Tips are what you read in a blog post and forget by Tuesday. Laws are what you obey when breaking them costs you everything. And on night one of a real grid collapse, the cost of breaking even one of them can be irreversible. The silence law. Sound discipline. What you say, how loud you say it.
Yeah, but who's that fucking prepared? Who sits around and actively sits there and thinks to themselves, dude, the moment the power goes out, I've got to be dead silent, strapped up with weapons, waiting somewheres in the corner, just begging for somebody to come into my house, dude. Just being dead silent. Now, I get it if, like, the country's being attacked and you see that shit on TV and you're like, oh, fuck. And then then all of a sudden the power goes out. Like, I get that. But, like, if you're just sitting there and all of a sudden the power randomly goes out, I don't think there's anybody that just grabs a bug-out bag, runs to the corner, and starts sitting there in dead silence in the dark. A lot of people, I feel like this is more like America is attacked kind of odd situation. Yeah, I agree with that. Maybe I'm looking into it too much. Maybe I'm looking at it as like, he's just telling me if the power goes out, period, I need to be sitting in the corner somewhere with a steak knife, just waiting, you know what I mean?
And whether the wrong person hears it. The dark law, light discipline, what you illuminate, what that light reveals, and who it draws toward your position. The asset law, resource lockdown, what you have, who knows you have it, and whether it stays yours past sunrise. The position law, physical security, where you are, where you can be seen from, and whether your location works for you or against you. Most unprepared people violate all 4 within the first 2 hours. Not because they're careless, but because they never framed night one.
A man said, I'm going to be butt naked with a tomahawk. Enter my house at your own discretion. Oh my goodness. Brooke is here, people. www.lockin.com.
As a situation that required laws in the first place. Every breakdown that follows lives inside one of these 4. Learn them now, before you need them. Picture the unprepared household at 9 p.m. on night 1. Someone is on the porch, trying to get a cell signal, speaking loudly into a dead phone. Inside, 2 adults are arguing about whether to drive to a family member's house. A generator kicks on in the backyard. Loud, mechanical, rhythmic. The dog is barking at shadows. A kid is crying in the back room. Notifications are still chiming from devices burning through their last battery reserves. In a normal world, this is Tuesday night. In a collapse scenario, this is a broadcast. Sound behaves differently when the grid is down. No ambient hum of traffic, no HVAC systems running, no white noise from neighboring houses. A power-silent neighborhood is acoustically naked, and in that silence, a running generator 3 streets away sounds like it's next door. A raised voice carries half a block, and that generator, that symbol of preparation, of control, of having planned ahead, is not a comfort signal. It is a landmark. It tells everyone within earshot exactly which house has fuel, has food, and has people inside worth taking from. Here's the twist that most people never see coming. The ones who violate the silence law the hardest are often the ones who prepared the most. The generator owner, the ham radio operator broadcasting situational updates, the prep group gathered on the porch, running through their response plan at full volume. Loud preparation.
I personally believe that if something like this goes down, motherfuckers just need to chill. Everybody just needs to sit down, calm down. There's no reason to, fear thy neighbor. There's no reason to just kick the neighbor's door open and just instantly start raiding his house and shit. Like, I get that we're in a bad situation, but if we come together, we could get out of it together instead of having to try to violently kill one another amidst survival. You know what I mean? If it goes down, everyone becomes looters, though. Mike, I know. It's a horrible, horrible thing. It's like motherfuckers are like, there's a law! Yes! I'm gonna kill everybody! They're just freaking out. People just need to sit down. There's no room for looters. There's no room for riots. There's no room for all that psycho shit in a collapsed society. There's no room for all that. People will panic and try to assume authority. Just look at the COVID-19. Yeah, TP gone. That shit was horrible. It was terrible. I don't even know how the hell that even happened. Why did that happen? Why was toilet paper what was singled out during all that? I was wiping my ass with napkins. False rumors. Yeah, I remember that. There's COVID embedded in the toilet. Or what was it? It was COVID embedded in the toilet paper, right? So you better buy all the toilet paper while you can before it gets out of hand. Wasn't that what it was? I legit got a question. Do y'all at least have one person you would team with to create something safe for yourselves in a cataclysmic event? Yes, I do. I got socks. Who needs toilet paper? I'll fact check it. Bet. Yes, I do have people that I would absolutely barricade myself up with if something like that happened. And, of course, we've all talked about it, well, this might happen, if this happens, then this, the blah, blah. So, I mean, there's like plans set in place, but I don't know, dude. Do you have like legit people that you would team up with? Everybody's got their COD team in the apocalypse. I'll just put it like that. I feel like everybody's got a team.
Feels like strength. It feels like command. But on night 1, in a dark and silent neighborhood, it is a flare fired straight into the sky. Silence isn't passivity. It's your first line of defense. And most people burn through it before they even realize the game has started. You're standing in the middle of your street at 10 p.m. on night 1. Every house is black. No streetlights, no porch lights, no glow from televisions. Just a row of dark structures blending into a dark sky. Except one. One house has warm light flickering behind the living room curtains. A flashlight beam sweeps across an upstairs window. Someone steps.
I will say, if I know the apocalypse is going on and I'm like wandering around in the dark looking for shit to like actively like scavenge or steal or whatever it is that I'm trying to do, If I see one house in a neighborhood with warm, glowing light and light coming out of it, I'm not going to be like a moth and just run towards it, okay? My first assumption is this is a trap. This is a trap for me to come in here so they can get my ass. You know what I mean? That's what I would assume immediately. I would stake that house out for days. Somewhere's like by myself, just laying there watching it before I ever like make an attempt to go anywhere near it. Because I would assume it was a trap to draw me in like a moth to a flame. And fuck that. We're not going down that road.
Onto the porch wearing a headlamp, checking the fuse box for the 4th time, flooding their own face and front door with white light. From the street, that house isn't just visible. It's the only thing visible. Humans are wired to fear darkness. It runs deeper than logic, deeper than training. So when the power dies, the instinct fires immediately. Fight the dark. Candles in every room, lanterns on the table, phone screen cranked to full brightness. It feels like control. It feels like safety. And in every other context of your life, it is. In a blacked out neighborhood, it is a beacon. A single lit window communicates exactly 3 things to anyone moving through the dark outside: occupied, active, and completely unaware of what.
The toilet paper thing, the fear of shortage causes a shortage. The toilet paper thing kind of reminds me of when they was having that baby formula shortage. And during the time of a baby formula shortage, they had motherfuckers actively doing a trend where they was buying the shit and eating it with spoons. What the fuck are we doing here? What is this world, bro? It's confusing to me. I don't understand it.
Light discipline means. Now here's where it gets specific. Most survival guides will tell you to use red light for stealth movement. That's correct. Red light doesn't destroy your night vision, and it's less intense than white. But the technique is right, and the application is almost always wrong. Red light through thin curtains is still visible light. Red light bouncing off a white wall bleeds through blinds. People follow the rule and miss the point entirely. Most people figure that out after someone knocks on their door. It starts with something small. A conversation over the fence at dusk. Your neighbor asks if you know what's going on. You don't. Not really, but you're not panicking, and that confidence leaks out. You mention you stocked up a little before things got bad. You've got some food, some water.
Why the hell would you tell anyone that? Ever?
Enough to write it out. Maybe you gesture toward the garage. Maybe the generator is already running, and the implication is obvious. Maybe you're just being neighborly, the way you always have been. By midnight, 3 more households know. People are social by nature. Sharing information feels like connection, like community, like the...
So, I agree with that. Stock up on rice and beans, longer shelf life, and it's cheap as hell. He's 100% right. You know, like what is that other shit they got? Powdered milk. That way, if you need milk for anything, get a bunch of powdered milk, put it up. They've got canned milk that lasts for fucking ever. Make sure that you have one of those life straws. One of those life straw things, or some sort of like filtration system or purification tablets or something. MREs are great, just like Acer just said. You know, there's certain things that you should keep in your house at all times. One of the things that I absolutely do keep in my house at all times is I always have a big ass bag of beans. I've got like 7 of them, and 7 big ass bags of rice, and like 5 life straws. Okay, in different ways to purify water. I'm not going out like that. I'm not about to starve to death, and I'm damn sure not about to die of thirst. If I'm going out, somebody's gonna have to kill me. Astronaut ice cream. Astronaut ice cream sounds goddamn awful. Is that the like freeze dried like ice cream sandwich? You can buy them from like Walmart. They're in like a MRE style packet. Dude, they're so good, dude. And it's crazy because like you would think that it would taste like shit, but it don't. It just tastes like you're straight up eating ice cream. It's just not cold, and I love that. Because I got shitty teeth, and I don't want it to feel like, you know, somebody just hit me in the mouth with a hammer every time I bite into something cold. Shit.
Right thing to do. And in normal times, it is. Telling your neighbor you have extra food is a gesture of goodwill. In a collapse environment, it is an inventory announcement. You have just told people, in a resource-scarce situation, exactly where the resources are. Within 48 hours, the neighborhood social network, the same one that organized the block party, the same one that shares school pickup schedules, is now circulating scarcity intelligence. Who has water? Who has fuel? Who stocked up and who didn't? You become a coordinate on someone else's survival map. Not a neighbor, a node. Here's the counterintuitive truth that almost no one sees coming. The most generous person in a collapse scenario is often the most dangerous position to occupy. Not because generosity is a character flaw, but because generosity broadcasts assets. The kind neighbor who shares what they have becomes the known resource house. Strong on night 1, visible by day 2, exhausted and surrounded by day 4. Silence protects more than your voice. It protects your inventory. When stress hits, people move toward comfort. That's not weakness, it's wiring. The family ends up in the living room because that's where the family always goes. The couch, the familiar layout, the sense that everyone is together in the space that means home. Some households go the other direction. Everyone down to the basement, because enclosed feels protected, because concrete walls feel safer than drywall. Neither decision is strategic. Both are emotional. And in a collapse scenario,
I don't know how long I'd stay. Like how long I would stay in my house before I'm like, okay, well, it's time to move on. You know what I mean? Like, you can stay here for maybe a couple weeks, a couple months until you get it like figured out and whatnot. But like, how long would you actually want to stay before you was worried that like if America was invaded or whatever the reasoning for this to be is, you know, would that play a factor in how long it is that you stay in your house? Best place to be is out in the country, away from the people. Yeah, I'm here. What's going on, O'Shun? I'm pitching a tent in the tree line to an open field. Yeah, because, I mean, if you're pitching a tent in a tree line to an open field, you always see them coming. You always see, like, any kind of deer coming, enemies coming. You always see anything coming as long as you're in that tree line and they can't see you, and the only way to where you are is a open field. I'm pitching a tent right now. What are you talking about, O'Shun? You going camping? On the top of a mountain in a tree line is ideal. Hey, yo! I think that, you know, that's he's camping all right. Good boy. I think that, like, you know, y'all right. That's probably the best option. Tree line, right? The only entrance is an open field. And if there is a back entrance, it has to be like very like rickety to get to that point to where you are. Does that make sense? Like, you know, you're gonna have to go through rivers or creeks or whatever the fuck the case is. That way you know that they're coming from a mile away. They just may be a little harder to spot than the people in front of you. So yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense. You stay in your house for a little bit until it's time to move, and then once it's time to move, you go to a tree line somewhere. Hell yeah.
Emotional positioning gets people hurt. Comfort spaces are not defensible spaces. The living room has large windows facing the street, an open floor plan with multiple entry points and no natural choke points. The front-facing rooms that felt warm and welcoming 6 hours ago now offer clear sight lines directly into your home from the road. The basement solves the window problem and creates a new one. A single exit, no visibility of approach, and no options if someone comes through the door at the top of the stairs. Position is not about where you feel safe. It is about where threats become visible before they reach you, and where you retain options when they do. Here's what makes the position law different from the other three. It's a multiplier. Get it wrong, and every other discipline you've maintained starts to unravel. You held the silence law, you held the dark law, but you're sitting in the front room, and the ambient glow of a single candle behind thin curtains is casting your silhouette onto the glass. From the street, someone can count the people inside. Position is the frame around every other law. Break it, and the rest of your discipline becomes decoration. Here's the part that most survival content never tells you, and it's the part that matters most. The households most likely to violate all 4 Night 1 laws simultaneously are not the unprepared ones. They're the prepared ones. Think about why. Preparation builds confidence. Confidence lowers perceived threat level. And lowered threat perception is exactly where discipline breaks down. The prepper with the full pantry runs the generator because they can. They planned for this. They have the fuel. They've earned the comfort. The prepper with the communications gear gets on the radio because they trained for it. This is the moment all those hours of practice.
That guy would be me. I would be the guy actively on the radio just flapping my fucking jaws, dude, during the entire apocalypse. And what are we supposed to do now, Mr. President, now that we've been violently bombed and a fucking massive EMP has shut everything down? I am currently on the radio with a fucking crank radio. You know, hello out there. I would just be saying random shit on the radio during the apocalypse. I am that guy on the mountain. Someone says something and Mike goes, do what?
We're 4. The prepper with the group talks tactics on the porch because they feel organized. Because having a plan feels like having control. Every one of those behaviors is the product of genuine preparation, and every one of them is a night 1 liability. Most people treat preparation as the finish line. Stock the pantry, build the kit, run the drills, and when the moment comes, you're ready. But preparation is not the finish line. Preparation is the foundation.
You said I just finished Resident Evil 4. I'm pretty sure I would live. Well, hell yeah. I thought we was talking about survival the other day, though, and you was like, if it would come to that, I'm deleting myself. I thought that's what we was... I thought that's what you said. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Well, it is a bad thing. I feel like, you know, at least give it a chance. I still would. Why? I feel like you'll make it, son. Now, if, like you said, something happened to your wife or whatever, you decide to do something like that, I can't really blame you for that. Self-delete is crazy. Yeah, it's an insane statement. All life is precious, son. He indeed said that. He did, in fact, say that. But I'm going to try to be Leon first. Is that the main dude from Resident Evil?
Discipline is the structure you have to build on top of it. And without behavioral discipline on night 1, a fully stocked, fully equipped household is not a fortress. It is an advertisement. The person who looks most ready on paper is often the most...
You think Big John would run off and leave you? Just leave you behind like that during the apocalypse? No, hang on a minute. Are you talking about like a zombie apocalypse? Or are you talking like any kind of apocalypse? So any kind of apocalypse, this man is just going to flex. just leave you there. I don't see Big John being like that. I see him being there for you. I think he would anyway. The only reason he may keep me around is because I know my meds. I think he'd keep you around. I don't. He doesn't seem like the type of guy that just abandoned his woman during a, you know, life or death situation. Yeah, you can be Leon, I'm gonna be Aaron. I know who Leon is just because of like the amount of times that like he's been shown from like trailers and stuff, but I'm not sure if I know who the Aaron person is. Loud and unprepared. Need a medical specialist. Gotta have one during some shit like this. Aaron is not making it, not gonna lie.
Exposed person in practice because they have the most to reveal, and confidence made them reveal it. Survival is not about what you have. It is about what you show. This is what you actually do, not theory, not framework, execution. The first 90 minutes are the highest leverage window you have. Everything after that is damage control on decisions already made. So here's the protocol. 3 tiers in order. Immediate. First 90 minutes. Kill all non-essential light sources before you light anything else. Cover windows first. Heavy curtains, blankets, whatever you have. Then assess what lighting you actually need. Shut down the generator or hold it entirely. If you need a power window, 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. is your target. Lower ambient threat, shorter duration, strategic. Establish a household noise code right now before tension escalates. Low voices. No unnecessary movement near windows or exterior walls. Conduct a position audit. Identify your defensible room, your secondary exit routes, and the choke points between you and every entry to the structure. Near term. Night 1 into day 2. Lock down asset information completely. No inventory disclosures to neighbors until trust has been verified through behavior over time, not through words in a single conversation. Establish a watch rotation before anyone gets tired. Fatigue on day 2 starts with poor decisions on night 1. Define your actual security perimeter, not the full property, just the zone 1 or 2 people can realistically monitor without burning out. The mindset shift that holds all of this together. Stop thinking in terms of comfort. Start thinking in terms of signal management. Every action you take on night 1 either broadcasts vulnerability or projects uncertainty. The goal is not to look strong. The goal is to be unreadable. No visible light signature, no audible presence, no known inventory. The safest house on the block is the house nobody can see. That's not a metaphor. That's your objective. Pull back for a moment.
Yeah, but I feel like when shit starts getting scarce, it don't matter if you got lights on, it don't matter if you don't got lights on. People's just going to start kicking open doors. You know, once people get to where they start kicking open doors, oh son, that's when like kind of like a lot of this whole first night, second night shit kind of goes out the window, because now it becomes more of like who can shoot faster, who's a better shot, who can aim better, who can pray and spray. You know what I'm saying? You kick my door, you're going to meet my buddy Smith and Wesson. Oh shit. I'm going to be myself and use my knowledge I've picked up over the years and my street smarts and what the Boy Scouts taught me. Hell yeah. I'm just saying, like, after so long, dude, of like people starving, they're not going to just wait around anymore. They're going to just go door to door, just kicking it open. Y'all know that. I know that. That's why I said, how long could you realistically stay in your house? You know. So you've not got very long to like craft these plans and figure out exactly where it is that you're going and like how you're going to transport all your shit there without being seen, especially if you live in like a crowded area. If you live in New York, you're cooked. If you live in fucking Miami, you're cooked. If you're in Nashville, you're cooked. If you're in any kind of big city, you are cooked. Especially if you have resources no one else does and you're trying to get the hell out of there and you're trying to take them resources with you, you're done. It's over. Somebody's going to catch you leaving. Because there's always going to be somebody in one of them cities watching. Always.
Wider frame. On night one of a real grid collapse, the population sorts itself. Not by strength, not by gear, not by who has the best setup, or the most thorough binder, or the longest supply chain. It sorts by discipline. That's it. That's the whole variable. The people who survive night one are not the loudest. They are not the best equipped. They are not the ones with the most connections, or the most confidence, or the most prepared speech about what the group is going to do next. They are the ones who go dark, go quiet, go still, and wait. They are the ones who understand that the first night is not about winning, it's about not being seen. Here's the thing nobody wants to sit with. Every mistake covered in this video has the same root cause. Not ignorance, not bad gear. The assumption that collapse will feel like collapse. It won't. It will feel like an inconvenience, with extra steps. The power is out. It's annoying. Let's figure this out. And that feeling, that man.
I feel like a majority of the West Coast would try to form their own towns and cities like they did in 2020 with the protests. I agree with that. See, I'm too damn loud. Well, see, my thing is I'm loud too. That's probably also one of the reasons why I'd be cooked. I can be quiet if I need to be, but I'm pretty loud too. That's why I said I'd be the guy on the radio just screaming like a psycho. People would do that worldwide. I agree with that too. I think once word come in from like, you know, people coming from out west and they was like, hey, you know, they got whole cities over there that people have been putting together. People in more rural areas will start trying the same thing and start trying to form their own economies with their own like currency. And then here we go. Everything's starting to reset and people are kind of starting to get normal again. You got people that's got jobs, little makeshift butcher shops, all that shit. It wouldn't be that bad once it got to that point. Once it got to that point where people still had jobs again, they had like little makeshift butcher shops and makeshift produce shops, and everybody's kind of getting more established. It wouldn't be that bad. It would probably be more like the Wild West. You would just have to worry about some motherfucker just being fully prepared to blast anybody. That would be your biggest concern by that point. And sickness. Once like medicine started running dry, you'd have to worry about sickness and shit because there's nothing being made because there's no power. And then that's when it starts getting kind of dangerous again.
Manageable, problem-solving, we've got this feeling, is exactly what gets people killed. Because manageable feels safe. Safe gets visible. Visible gets found. And getting found on night one means spending the rest of the crisis in reaction mode. Defending instead of surviving. The grid goes down. The clock starts. 90 minutes. 4 laws. 30 days hanging in the balance. So tell me, which of the 4 laws do you think most people break first? And which one would you have broken before watching?
I'd have broke every one of them, oh son. W Fallout Leo. Moving on.